Welcome along to a new deep dive. We've got quite the collection of sources here, live blogs, articles, analysis, and they're all focused on one massive event, the IPL 2025 final.
Yeah, and what a final it is. We're basically tuning in live, sort of, from the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. It's June 3rd, and history is literally being made as we speak.
Right.
Because for the very first time, one of these teams, Royal Challengers Bengaluru or Punjab Kings, they're going to lift that IPL trophy.
So our job today really is to get stuck into all this material you've pulled together. We want to unpack it all, you know, the stakes, how these teams got here, the key moments playing out right now, and just what makes this specific matchup so gripping.
Absolutely. And the stakes, I mean, you can't really get higher in the IPL, can you?
Yep.
Neither RCB nor PBKS have ever won it.
Never.
And for Punjab Kings, wow, it's their first final in 11 years. Yeah. That's a long, long wait for them and their fans.
And then there's RCB. This is what, their fourth final appearance across 18 seasons?
Allworth, yeah.
The weight of expectation there is huge. You hear that chant everywhere. Isala Cup Namde. This time the cup is ours.
It just feels so significant, especially, you know, for Virat Kohli after all this time with the team.
Definitely for Kohli. Yeah. And thinking about how they reached Ahmedabad, PBKS, well, they had a bit of a tougher route after losing that first qualifier to RCB.
Right. They had to play Mumbai Indians.
Exactly. They faced a really strong MI side in qualifier too. And what really comes through in the sources is how Shreyas Iyer, the captain, just stepped up. Incredible innings.
That unbeaten 87.
Yeah, 87, not out of just 41 balls. Just so calculated, absorbed all the pressure and saw them home. And guys like Nehal Wathera and Josh Inglis played crucial roles too. Shows their batting depth, really.
Whereas RCB, their path felt, I don't know, maybe a bit more straightforward. They beat PBKS in Qualifier 1 to book their spot.
Smoother, yeah.
And just to add another layer, the head-to-head record between them before today, It was perfectly tied, wasn't it? 18 wins each from 36 games.
Incredible. 18 all. It almost feels like fate that the decider is the final itself.
So the venue, Ahmedabad, the sources are all saying it's been a road for batters this season.
Oh, absolutely. A batter's paradise. Average first inning scores, something like 219. We've seen loads of 200 plus scores. It's just been runs.
And the toss. Usually teams like chasing there, right? But this season...
Yeah, historically chasing has been the way to go in Ahmedabad. But interestingly, on this specific pitch this year, batting first actually had a slightly better record. Though, having said that, PBKS chased brilliantly in that qualifier too, so maybe that influenced their thinking.
Good point. And the weather looks okay. No rain threat.
Forecast is clear, thankfully. Yeah. But, you know, there's always that slight nervousness about the rain rule. If it got washed out, PBKS would win because they finished higher in the league table. Better net run rate.
Wow, okay. That adds a bit of an edge, doesn't it? Well, especially if there are any delays or anything.
Definitely. And the sources paint a picture of a really vibrant pre-match atmosphere. There was the closing ceremony, Shankar Mahadevan paying tribute to the armed forces. Quite powerful stuff.
Yeah, I saw that. And some big names watching too, like former UK PM Rishi Sunak was there.
Yeah, he was. Shows the global pull of the IPL final.
And what about the captains before the match, Iyer and Patidar?
Well, Iyer talked about staying calm, treating it like a final, but not letting the occasion get to them, just playing their game.
Standard captain talk, almost.
Kind of, yeah. But Patidar, leading RCB, he also stressed treating it as just another match, but he specifically mentioned wanting to win it for Virat Kohli, acknowledging his legacy at the franchise. That felt quite heartfelt.
Yeah, that's a nice touch. And that story about Phil Salt, that's commitment, isn't it?
Incredible. Flies home for the birth of his child, then straight back, lands on the morning of the final, ready to play. Amazing dedication from a key overseas player.
Right. So, onto the match itself. PBKS won the toss and decided to bowl first.
Yeah, put RCB into bat. Maybe thinking about that Q2 chase or just backing themselves to chase whatever was set.
So RCB's inning starts. Kohli and Salt opening up. And Salt, despite that mad dash across the world.
No signs of jet lag. A 6 and a 4 off Arshdeep in the very first over. He looked completely switched on.
But PBKS hit back pretty quickly, didn't they? Kyle Jamieson got Salt in the second over.
Yeah, big early wicket. And by the end of the power play, RCB were 55 for 1.
Which sounds okay on paper, maybe, but the sources described it as a slow start.
Well, yeah, slow for Ahmedabad this season. On a pitch where 200 feels almost like par, 55 for 1 is maybe a bit behind the curve. Kohli was sort of anchoring, and Mayank Agarwal seemed to be finding it a bit tough initially.
And the PBKS bowlers, Jamieson and Arshdeep.
They did well after that first over from Salt, kept things pretty tidy, Jamieson especially. And as Matula Omarzai, his first over was really economical too. They weren't just letting RCB run away with it early on.
Okay, let's talk about a specific matchup the sources flagged. Mayank Agarwal getting out to use Vendor Chahal.
In the 7th over.
And the stat is, that's the 7th time Chahal has dismissed Agarwal in the IPL.
7th time. Yeah, that's quite something. It suggests, maybe a bit of a mental edge for Chahal in that particular battle. A key moment that went PBKS's way.
Definitely. And Kohli's innings started a bit watchfully.
Yeah, he was something like 27 off 21 balls at one stage. Took him 17 balls to hit his first boundary, I think. But then after the strategic timeout, the reports say he really showed definite urgency. Looked like he was trying to step on the gas.
But it didn't quite happen for him in the end. He got out for 43.
43 off 35 balls.
Yeah.
Bowled by Omarzai. Tried to pull a short one, got a top edge, and Omarzai took the catch himself.
Yeah.
Crucial wicket. Just as Kohli looked like he might be building towards something significant.
And missing out on that 50 meant he didn't get that IPL record either, right? Most 50s by an Indian batter in a season.
Exactly. Just another little subplot in his final story.
What about the others? Rajat Patidar came in?
Yeah, Patidar looked busy. Made a quick 26 off 16 balls. Played a really good slog sweep for 6 off Chahal, actually. Showed that even though Chahal got Agarwal, he could still be attacked.
And Liam Livingstone.
Livingstone came in, yeah. He also managed to hit a 6 off Chahal's last over. So despite Chahal getting that earlier wicket, his final over ended up being quite expensive for PBKS.
Okay, so just to quickly recap, the wickets PBKS had taken up to that point in the sources. Jamieson got Salt and Agarwal. Chahal got Agarwal as well.
No, sorry. Jamieson got Salt. Chahal got Agarwal.
Ah, right. Jamieson got Salt, Chahal got Agarwal, and Omarzai got the big one, Kohli.
Correct. So 3 key wickets down for RCB.
This seems like a good point to dive deeper into some of the player dynamics and the strategies the sources are talking about. Shreyas Iyer's captaincy comes up a lot.
Yeah, consistently praised, people calling him captain of the season. And you can see why. He's now led 3 different franchises to an IPL final, and he's won it once before.
That's impressive leadership.
And his style is described as, calm, very team-focused, willing to shift his own batting spot for the team's needs, that sort of thing.
And his batting, especially under pressure.
Yeah, described as really calculated. The sources mention how he handled Bumrah's Yorkers in that qualifier too, how he picked his moments to hit difficult shots when it mattered most. Plus, he had a record season for hitting 6s for PBKS, leading from the front.
And PBKS's batting overall, often called maybe the best lineup in the league, because of the depth.
It's certainly up there. Incredible depth. And the sources really stress how important their openers are. Priyansh Arya, Prabhsimran Singh. They need to fire, especially against RCB's attack. They specifically mention countering Josh Hazelwood's bounce as a key challenge.
Right. Hazelwood's bounce is always tricky. One source seemed confused about Bhuvneshwar Kumar being at RCB, but let's stick with Hazelwood being the main threat there.
Yeah, Hazelwood's definitely the one they need to watch up front. And you mentioned depth. The sources also point to guys like Josh Inglis, maybe unsung heroes.
Yeah, like his consistency. And that partnership against MI, taking 20 off Bumrah in an over, that's game-changing stuff.
Exactly. Shows he's not just consistent, but explosive too. A real threat in that middle order.
Okay, but the flip side for PBKS, according to the sources, is their bowling. Generally seen as maybe not quite as strong as the batting.
That's the general consensus, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Their bowling is perhaps the area RCB would look to target. Arshdeep Singh, for instance, his form apparently dipped a bit towards the end of the season. They need him at his best tonight, especially against someone like Phil Salt, who he's got out before.
And Chahal, facing his old team.
Yeah, huge narrative there. His economy rate this season was a bit higher than usual, maybe. But this is the final against RCB, the team he played for in the 2016 final. It's a massive chance for redemption for him, isn't it? Can he produce a match-winning spell?
Big question. Now, switching focus to RCB. Their lineup is packed with international stars, Kohli, Salt, Hazelwood.
Real match winners. And their strategy often hinges on those top 3 getting them off to a flyer. We saw the Agarwal versus Chahal matchup. Didn't go their way earlier.
And Tim David's injury was mentioned.
Yeah, the sources noted that even a partially fit Tim David would have been a huge asset in the death overs. His power hitting is something they might miss if the game gets tight later on.
And Rajat Patidar as captain, grown into the role.
Seems so. He wasn't the expected choice initially, but the sources suggest he's earned respect and grown throughout the season.
Okay, let's talk about Josh Hazelwood, because this is Well, it's pretty remarkable, isn't it?
It's absolutely incredible. His wicket taking this season has been excellent, and he brings that calmness, that control. But the stat that just jumps out from the sources is his record in finals.
He's never lost one.
Never. Across all sorts of competitions, CLT 20, Big Bash, IPL with Chennai, ODI World Cup, T20 World Cup, Champions Trophy. If he plays in a final, his team wins. It's an unbelievable streak.
That's insane. What a weapon to have psychologically for RCB in a pressure cooker like this.
Exactly. He's like a finals guarantee almost.
Yeah.
And his individual matchups look good too, especially against key PBKS guys. He's got Shreyas Iyer out 4 times, Josh Inglis twice.
So how Patidar uses his overs when he brings them on against those specific batters could be absolutely crucial in this chase.
Hugely important. And one last thing the sources touch on is the RCB coaching setup. Noel Bobat, Andy Flower, Dinesh Karthik. They're credited with shifting RCB's strategy, particularly in the auction, moving away from just chasing superstars and focusing more on specific roles, finding players like Salt to fit a particular need, building a more balanced squad.
Creating the right environment, too, for Patidar and the players.
Exactly. Fostering that supportive atmosphere seems to have paid off, letting Patidar grow into the captaincy.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, reflecting on this deep dive and where the game stands according to the sources, RCB losing those early wickets, including Kohli, it sets up a fascinating scenario.
Absolutely. You've got the massive historical context. A first ever title is on the line for one of them. You've got that dead even head-to-head record coming into the final.
And the contrast in styles, almost. PBKS's powerful deep batting versus RCB's star names and, crucially, Hazelwood's unbelievable finals record.
Plus the individual battles, the coaching strategies, it's all bubbling under the surface. Every run, every wicket feels magnified now.
So considering everything we've unpacked from these sources, Iyer's leadership, PBKS's batting might, Hazelwood's perfect final streak, RCB's long wait for this trophy, what's the one thing, the single factor, that you think will ultimately swing it? What decides who finally breaks their duck and lifts that IPL trophy for the very first time?